Welcome to FootballGamePlan.com, where football makes sense. I'm Emory Hunt, the czar of the playbook. Sit next to the fantasy guru himself, Tyler Merkovich, bringing you his top 10 overall running backs in this upcoming fantasy football league season. I love running backs. I'm a running back myself, so I can't wait to see who you have in your top 10, starting with number 1. And it better be Herschel Walker.
I thought you were a hybrid. A
little bit of both.
Well, first of all, obviously a historic year. Chris Johnson, over 2,000 yards rushing, unbelievable, 14 touchdowns, even did it through the air, over 500 yards receiving. So I think the defense will struggle in Tennessee, but they play the AFC West, NFC East, which bodes well against a run, but Pittsburgh and Miami also. So that's a little concerning that they got the NFC East and Pittsburgh and Miami. So those teams could play good run defense and key on him. But they play Oakland, who gave up 20 rush touchdowns last year. They play Kansas City, who gave up 17 rushing touchdowns last year. And so those are the good things. But Pittsburgh and Dallas, which they will play, they were two of the best fantasy run defenses in the league.
Well, one thing Chris Johnson has going for him is speed. And if you look at the guys that rush for 2,000 yards, except Terrell Davis, all had blazing speed. O.J. Simpson, Barry Sanders, Eric Dickerson. Terrell Davis is the only guy that bucked that trend. So as long as he has the speed going for him, he should rush for a lot of yards again. Number 2 on your list.
Well, remember when Dave Wanstead was on the hot seat and you ran Ricky Williams wild? I see the same thing in Jacksonville. It's MJD. You got to put him 2 here. I mean, the top 6 are so close, it's unbelievable. But I'm going to put MJD here because Monroe and Britton, those 2 second-year guys, really improved at the end of the last year. And Manuwai, one of their guards, is 2 years removed from an injury. I think Brad Meester is a tough guy and he still has some pride in his game. I know he's been in the league for 10 plus years, so he'll be at center. Nwaneri too, the right guard, so that's a pretty underrated O-line. And they're going to rely on the run because Garrard was just a mess at quarterback last year and hasn't lived up to his standards. So they play the AFC West, NFC East. The difference between him and CJ is he plays Buffalo and Cleveland instead of Pittsburgh and Miami. So, I mean, he could really take advantage. Those are 2 of the worst defenses against fantasy running backs last year, Buffalo and Cleveland. So that's a big difference right there.
Still hard to believe this guy fell all the way to the end of the first round to the second round. Really talented playmaker.
Hard worker. His work ethic's unbelievable.
Versatile player too. Number 3 on your list.
Well, I mean, this is number 3. Like, this is just, if you're got the top 3-4 picks in fantasy football, it's unbelievable because you could have Adrian Peterson. I can't believe this is my man. You put him at third, over 1,300 yards, almost 1,400. 18 touchdowns though. Unbelievable what he had. And I think the roles have changed. Instead of him really powering it up and Chester Taylor going outside for the screen passes, I think Adrian Peterson gets more involved in the pass game, and Toby Gerhard, by the second half of the year, I think he might vulture some carries, but he's got that offensive line led by one of the best guards in the league, and that's Steve Hutchinson, of course. He plays the NFC East and AFC East, of course, all built against a run, which is a problem. The Jets, he plays, Dallas, Green Bay, all were great against a run, so this is why I pegged him at 3rd.
Special talent is Peterson. He just has to hold on to the football. 4th on your list.
4th, that's a big concern also, but still, you take the good with the bad, right? Ray Rice, the huge year he had last year, over 1,300 yards, receiving over 700. Only 7 touchdowns rushing because McGahee, they use him a lot in the red zone, and McLean, they used the prior year, so you could use him too. So they're going to vulture, but I think Bolden and Stallworth opens up that offense with the 2 rookie tight ends, of course. And he plays the NFC South, Denver and Houston. So with McGahee there, McLean, you got to put Rice at 4, even though he's one of the best running backs in the league.
Best running back in the league, arguably, because he is versatile. He can block, he can run, he can catch. Really versatile athlete. 5.
Well, Michael Turner was banged up last year, only 11 games, only had 178 carries. Maybe that's a good thing because he had a lot of tread on his tires. He still had 10 touchdowns last year. He's not going to do it in the passing game, but with that nasty offensive line, with Ryan keeping defenses honest, and I'm not worried about Snelling or Norwood, who really stepped up last year. They're going to know their role, especially when this guy is in the lineup. He plays the NFC West and AFC North. So Michael Turner, top 5 running back.
And he slimmed down a little bit too, which should add some more burst to his game. He's already a fast guy, but to add more burst to his game, that should help out a lot. 6th on your list.
Well, Frank Gore. I mean, this guy's he's about 27, 28 years old, which seems like he's been in the league forever. Guy out of Miami, over 1,100 yards, 10 touchdowns. He's consistent, over 400 receiving. So, I mean, I know injury is a concern. When is it going to happen? When is it going to happen? But he still gets it done. And they draft Ayupati and Davis. So if those guys come around, I think Gore could really have a big second half of the season, and no one's really concerning me in the backing him up. Glenn Coffey or Anthony Dixon. It's Frank Gore all day. Singletary's going to like this guy, of course. He likes him already. NFC South, AFC West, Philly and Green Bay. So those teams could really get at him, but he's still got to be in your top 10.
Yeah, he may be mid-20s, late 20s, but his knees are like 3 or 4 years old because they both reconstructed. 7th on your list.
Steven Jackson. I mean, I know he plays with the Rams, but he's very versatile. He gets the yardage. Let's take the yardage because touchdowns are always a wild card. He had over 1,400 yards, over 300 yards receiving. He only had 4 touchdowns, which is an issue. But as that offense goes, Steven Jackson goes, feed this guy the rock, especially with Bradford. So he's going to get a lot of touches in both the receiving game and rush game. So the offensive line, they can't be any worse, and that offense can't be any worse as a whole. So Steven Jackson, very versatile, still only 27, I believe, so he's still got some years to go. Still
breaking in a rookie quarterback is going to lean on the running game a lot. That's one guy you never hear of in the offseason. Why? Because he's probably spending the entire offseason in the ice tub cooling off his body because he's going to get a lot of carries during the season. 8th on your list. Where you going?
Well, I moved a couple players ahead of another Steelers running back. It's Sean Green. I know his pass catching ability really concerns people, but he had an amazing postseason. I know they bring in LT, but he'll be the more receiving back. And the big question is, will that offensive line produce the way they did last year? Faneca's out. I think it can, and I think even if it's near what it was last year, I think Green was going to have a big year.
Well, you look at a guy like Green, and you still wonder why NFL scouts don't trust what they see. Just because he ran a 4.7 doesn't mean he wasn't good. 1,800 yards in college. He's proven he has that potential to do it.
What does he have in common with Turner and Rice? He's built like them.
Thank you.
Massive.
If you can play, you can play. Don't, trust what you see, scouts. Trust what you see. 9th on the list. Who you got?
Well, 9th on the list, Cedric Benson. Contract year number 1. They re-signed Bobby Williams, one of the most underrated guards in the league. Andre Smith is now in. They fixed the attack, the passing attack with Gresham and Bryant. So, balanced attack. I like Bernard Scott as a backup, but he's not a scare yet. He's a couple years away, so he's going to get a lot of carries. He missed 3 games last year, Benson. 13 games in total, 1,251 yards, 6 touchdowns. Nothing through the air, really, only 100 yards, but still Benson's going to get the carries. Contract year. I know off-field issues he had, but forget it. He wants his money now, and he knows he needs to make it. This is the biggest year of his life.
He ran with a purpose last year. I like Cedric Benson a lot, so he ran really, really well last year. And this year, he's going to be even more healthier and do the same thing, I think. 10th on the list. Where you going?
Rashard Mendenhall. Everyone's saying that without Roethlisberger, they want to get back to the run game, but the problem is here, Willie Colon was lost for the year, so they bring in Flozell Adams for a workout. They're not sure yet, so that's concerning to me. And it's the 19th rush offense last year with only 112. But the good thing is he broke out last year, over 1,100 yards, 7 touchdowns. He has a lot of ability. He's still young, so they can rely on him, and he's very versatile. No one really backing him up that concerns me. Mewelde Moore, very serviceable, but he won't vulture too much, so Mendenhall got to be in your top 10. But move him down a couple notches. I moved him down from 8th to 10th because of that Willie Colon injury.
And also keep in mind, Dwyer might take some carries away from him as well too. So no Herschel Walker on your list. I'll let you slide.
I got Tim Biaka-Batuka though. Right?
I love Biaka-Batuka. For more Fantasy Football League videos, visit footballgameplan.com/fantasy or check out more of our videos at youtube.com/footballgameplan.